As you're aware, the crown chakra is the energy center that connects us to our belief systems. And one of the reasons that I wanted to chat to you about it is because you've created a wonderful life for yourself. And I'm very inspired by the way you combine your passions with your work. Were there any obstacles that you had to overcome in order to do this?
Yes. Because as anyone who has followed a passion or had a burning desire to do something new will know, I really wanted to run my own business for a long time. And I guess I battled with, I loved the world of money. I loved the dynamic nature of the trading floors where I was working and all that stuff. But I was like this internally, because I had this burning desire to work for myself and to work in my own, kind of to elevate above where I was. I was in a company and I wanted to be a leader, I guess. I wanted to sort of lead in some way. How to do it, I just didn't know. So for a long time, I kind of floundered with not knowing what I was going to do, not thinking. Now, it's not like I didn't think I was good enough, but I didn't know if other people would think I was good enough, because I had always worked for someone else. So you always have the safety net of being inside and stepping out of that. So I definitely struggled with that, and I probably still do a little bit. And I think a lot of people will resonate with that. Some people would not believe that I would have that feeling because I'm quite a strong character. But yeah, I do. I struggled with that for a long time. So that was a big block for me.
How did you overcome it?
That's a good question. It took a long time. I think I had to do a lot of soul searching, and I guess a couple of things. I think I took the safe route. I didn't just jack my job and start something new. I actually got involved in a couple of businesses that where I was working in the financial industry still, but I managed to take a stake in a couple of companies. To cut a long story short, I took an equity stake in a company about 7 years ago. I just got that opportunity. It came my way. And it set me up financially to be able to then go and do my own thing. So I was very strategic. I thought to myself, yes, I have the burning desire to do something new, but I need to be strategic, and I cannot, it took about 4 years, I wanted to do my own thing for a long time. And I say to people, I know you have a burning desire, but you need to start making a plan. So this is where the masculine and feminine comes together again. Have the vision and the burning desire, but make a plan that is a plan to exit, because otherwise it fails. And then you feel down on yourself. And mine was successful because of that reason. But I paid the price of time.
Yeah. Is there always a price to pay? I don't know, because when you were talking and you saw me nodding avidly, one of the things that I was going to say was, where were you when I first started my business? I think that people come into our lives when it's the right time, for lack of a better expression. But 10 years ago, when I decided that I was going to do everything that I loved for a living, I believe because I didn't have a plan, because I wasn't told that, hey, if you try something, you've got to kind of test it first to see if it works. Little things like that, which I know you emphasize in your business when you put strategies together and you streamline people's business and you teach them how to do it. And I know that 10 years later, I know that. But I believe because I didn't have that plan, because I didn't necessarily have that strategy, and because I thought, I'm just going to do everything I love, and if it doesn't work out, I'll just go back and be a social worker. And I didn't have a strategy in place. If anything, I started 3 brand spanking new businesses all at the same time. I was a kinesiologist and healer. I was a yoga teacher, and I was a celebrant. It's not like one was already up and running that could support the other 2 as they came up. No. So it meant that I not only didn't have a plan, it also meant that in order to pay rent, I was very hand to mouth for a good several years before the business stopped being something that I just did. I may as well have just been an employee. If anything, I was a worse boss than I ever had in the past. And I feel that a lot of the suffering that I felt, and a lot of that was hand to mouth, just making the rent, just paying the bill, needing another extension for the electricity bill for a good 2 or 3 years. And I feel that if I had a plan, it would have been a lot easier. Infinitely easier.
Well, as you were talking there, I was thinking to myself, going, a plan is really important because a strategic plan is very important. But the interesting thing is people make business plans all the time, and then they go in the cupboard and they don't get dusted off for ages. But on top of having a plan, and I'm so glad we brought that up because this is something I really been. You need to have the ability to change the plan.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
So some people get rigidly stuck on the plan. But, stuff's going to happen, right? Stuff's going to fail. And you have to be able to, you have to have a clear vision that is so strong. Keep your eye on the prize. Have a plan, but be able to shift that plan fast. And one thing I learned this in the trading floor because I was making fast decisions all the time. Sometimes you need to be fluid enough to make fast decisions. But having no plan is a bit too fluid. Like no strategy is too fluid because you're just at the whim of all the things that come in, and things come in, to sort of affect you.
Because it's life.
But accepting that your plan may not work out and you may need to shift that plan pretty quickly. But again, that's being strategic, so constantly being strategic while keeping your eye on the vision is key, is absolutely key. Yeah.
I love that you say that. I love that you talk about having a plan and being equally flexible because it was one of my lessons as well. And I have to admit, one of the blocks that we experience in our crown chakra is ego, because when we challenge our belief systems and we're too rigid to change and to wane a little bit, we experience that ego. And that was me when I first started my business, because I thought, well, I work for myself. I can't work for anybody else. And I don't have many shoulda, woulda, coulda moments in my life, but one of them probably is, if I could give anybody advice, it's stay in a job that pays maybe just the rent. If I could have worked, say, maybe 2 days a week in a social work setting, a setting that I was already familiar with, already comfortable with, I would have done it. And I have to admit that the reason I didn't do it was because of my ego, because at that time I would have seen it as I somehow failed, which I think is absolutely incredulous now, because really it was actually setting me up so that I could have enough to cover my expenses while still having a good amount of time during the week to work on actually building my business. So a huge lesson that I always share.
That's being strategic. And a lot of people leave jobs to set up businesses. And I always think, you know what, it's that plan thing again. You need to plan your finances. You need to, and things happen, yes, but and I know from when I did the crown chakra in your course, I loved the fact that to be balanced in your crown chakra means that you're not rigid in your beliefs, but you can also accept that you can be wrong, right? So the ability to accept that you can be wrong is massive. And again, in my trading days, I learned that really the hard way, because as a trader, you walk into work every day, you cannot have a rigid belief because the market will absolutely annihilate you. And you have to always ask yourself, could this be wrong? Could my theory be wrong? Could my trade be wrong? Could I lose money? So I got trained in that quite a lot to shift my thinking very quickly based on what's actually happening around me rather than what I think is happening.
I love that.
So that's really key.